Okay, I actually had a friend of mine suggest that I do an episode or a vlog about being a kid or being a teenager with ichthyosis and how it was different from being having a normal childhood. Um, Growing up, I mean, I had normal things. I went to sleepovers with friends. I went on vacations with family. I went to theme parks. I went to birthday parties. I went to Halloween parties and stuff like that. Um, that was until I probably got around, I want to say middle school or high school, and that kind of went downhill. I started, that's usually the age when most kids are trying to find out who they are, and my skin made it difficult to find out who I was. Um, I obviously, I had people in my family wanting me to be girly and wear dresses and skirts, and that just wasn't me. So I kind of went to the other way and started dressing like a boy because I just really never felt comfortable with my skin and my body. And obviously girls show more skin if they dress like a girl than they do dress like a guy. So I would wear, I'd always wear long sleeve shirts and jackets and jeans and stuff like that. Or if I wore shorts, they'd be like boy shorts. Um, I wasn't only self-conscious about my skin, I was self-conscious about how skinny I was. I've had a lot of people ask me, are you anorexic because of how skinny I am? Even though both my parents are extremely small, it still was kind of like, should I be this skinny? I've tried gaining weight, I've tried several different ways, and just the way my body is, it just doesn't happen. So I did have a problem with that. As far as like having friends, me going over and hanging out, I didn't have that much of a problem whenever I was younger. I had a best friend that I was with her every day, probably up until fifth or sixth grade. And then I'd go over to her house on the weekends and stuff like that. Um, Most of 98% of my friends have never had a problem with my skin condition. The one that had, after, I don't think she really knew she was offending me, even though I kind of made it, sound like, that's not really nice. I can't help it. And I told my mom what happened, and she was like, well, if she's gonna be that way, you have plenty of other friends that don't have this problem. I mean, most of my friends, they've gotten so used to my skin that it doesn't even bother them. I mean, obviously it does fall off and onto things, but most of the time, they either don't care or they'll wait till I leave to clean it up. It's not that it's not that I hate leaving, scales and stuff behind on people's things. 'Cause I know it is a little bit weird, and I wouldn't want that on my stuff either. But at the same time, they do realize it's something I'm kind of picky about, and I still don't really know how to, look at it. So they definitely have helped me. I had, as far as like, friends and stuff, I've had my share of, best friends. I'm predominantly friends with people I've been friends with a long time. So generally, I pick people if I decide I really want you to be my friend and hang out with me, you're gonna stay my friend for a while unless you just do something totally horrendous and to where I don't want to talk to you anymore, which most of the time that doesn't happen. Um, as far as like having people going out in public, my skin has made it awkward for me to go out in public at least by myself. When I was younger, I'd go out in public with my friends and I'd have people stare at me, and I was extremely uncomfortable with it. I still am today. I do not like people staring at me. And most of the time I can just ignore them. When I was younger, I didn't like people staring at me, and I'd have my friends, turn around and go, "What are you staring at for?" Or they would say, "Don't stare. That's not nice." So I did have friends that not necessarily stood up for me, but definitely made it a little less awkward. Now, I'm just an extremely socially awkward person. I don't like going out in public anywhere by myself because I don't know how people are going to perceive me. I don't know how to act in public because probably up until the last few months, I never went anywhere in public by myself unless it was just for, 5 or 10 minutes. If I went somewhere, it was with my friends or, one of my boyfriends or like my family. I never went anywhere by myself. And if I did, like when I went to college, I mean, I didn't really, the college I went to, I didn't know anybody there. The people I knew there totally ignored me. So, I mean, I made a few friends. I talked to a few people for the most part. I walked around the whole school, after class with my music on, just walking around the whole school. I wouldn't talk to anybody. And that's just kind of how I am in public. I don't really go out and meet people because I don't know how they're going to perceive my skin condition or perceive the way I look. I mean, some do surprise me, obviously. But then again, some people, I still get little kids that stares, and little kids, if a little kid is curious, I'll explain it to them the best I can. I have a dry skin condition, or a lot of people ask me if I'm sunburned, and if they ask, concern, I'll be like, no, I have a dry skin condition. It makes me peel all the time. But if they ask in a certain tone where they're just like, oh, you must got sunburn or something, I'm like, yeah, I did. Which, for the most part, it is true. I do say sunburn a lot of the time. So it's not technically telling a lie, but there's some people I just don't really want to explain the whole thing to. Even though I should. As far as my aspects as far as dating, that was something totally abnormal. Most girls start dating by the time they're in the middle of high school. 16, 17 years old. I had a best friend that I went to homecoming with twice, and I went to prom with him, but we were just really, really, really good friends. We were best friends, and that was pretty much all there was to it. I didn't date in high school. Not that I didn't want to, I just didn't really have many guys interested in me, and I don't know if it was because they thought I was with the guy that was my best friend, even though we told everybody we weren't together, or if it was just the fact that I dressed extremely boyish in high school. I mean, I wore like baggy pants or like boyish style pants and t-shirts every day and a hat. And I mean, most guys don't like that at that age. So, I mean, I wanted a boyfriend, but it didn't happen. In college, it pretty much was the same way. I just didn't get out there and didn't talk to people. The few times I did, and, nothing happened. Since I'm not a sociable person, everybody's like, well, how would you date? And I've actually done online stuff just because, as far as me being a socially awkward person, I'm not going out to a bar, going to a place, and being around an extremely large group of people to meet somebody. Usually you're at a place and you meet one person, and that's been a lot easier for me. I've had some trials and some not so good experiences, but I've learned a lot from it. I've learned to accept who I am, and if somebody's not going to accept me as me, then I'm not gonna change for them. I've been with guys where I kind of changed myself a little bit into the type of girl they wanted, into the type of girl I should have been, which was me. I changed the way I dressed, or I changed, the way I talked, or something like that, or just changed my whole, not really my whole life, but just certain things in my life to make them, I guess, like me more, so they wouldn't be so much focused on my skin. But I have to say, out of the guys I've dated, I've never had any one of them have a problem with my skin. Most of them, most people, once they reach a certain age, they're going to be mature enough to say, okay, she's got a skin condition, it's not, it's not contagious or anything like that, it's just something I had to live with. And most of them have not had a problem with it. They never told me. But I mean, you are going to have I mean, people are going to have difficulties when they have, you know, a physical appearance that's not normal. You know, people are going to look at them weird. They're not going to get as much of a chance at certain things because a lot of people still judge people based solely on their appearance. A lot of job places, you know, base people solely on their appearance or solely on the way they look or the way they, you know, they hold themselves. Another thing a lot of people with ichthyosis have is they have a lot of self-esteem and self-confidence issues and a lot of depression and anxiety issues because of the fact that, you know, they are different and they are seen as outsiders, so they are seen as something different, or they are made fun of when they're younger or bullied because of their condition. And there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they can put as much cream on it as they want to, or they can have as many people tell them, you know, it'll be okay, it'll get better, and then sometimes it just doesn't. I was bullied as when I was in middle school. I got, you know, pieces of candy thrown at me, and I don't really know if it was because of my skin or what, but I did get called names that, you know, still hurt whenever I hear them, or, you know, I'm reminded of them. But, you know, looking back now, I'm like, okay, they were immature. So they were immature, and you know, it's not something that I look back and say I did learn from that. I learned to be stronger. I learned to not let people's words get to me. You know, at times their actions can, but usually I can forgive people. But like I said, there are still some things I won't put myself through with a person. But like I said, kids, you know, they like, one problem I don't have a problem with dealing with is being alone, and I do think that does have a little bit to do with my skin condition because I don't put myself out there to meet new people. You know, mainly I get up and go home. I get up and go to work and then come home, and, you know, every now and then I'll go to a friend's house or a, you know, family member's house or something like that, but for the most part, you know, if I'm at work, you know, I'm around people and I talk to those people, but outside of that, I don't really talk to them. And then, you know, I come home and, you know, it is depressing at times because I do think, you know, if I didn't have my skin condition, I might be able to get out there and, you know, meet more people, but then at the same time, I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to go out into a crowd or into a setting where there's 300 people or 100 people or 30 people that I don't know and, you know, try to meet somebody, because that's just not the way I want to do it. You know, I don't have a problem, you know, hanging out with a small gathering of my friends, but as far as, you know, and a lot of kids with ichthyosis have this problem, they're not comfortable in a public setting with a lot of people around them that they don't know because they don't know how people are going to perceive them. You know, as far as like other things, you know, high school, I didn't really get made fun of in high school for my skin condition at all. You know, by that time, hopefully most kids are mature enough to not go through that, and to, I think the only time I ever got made fun of in high school was for being a freshman, which that's something normal. Or, you know, the one thing I have most of my friends tell me is the first time they saw me, I thought I was a boy. They thought I was a boy because of the way I dressed. I still get that way some. I've changed a lot. I am more comfortable in my body. I am more comfortable in my skin. There are, you know, I still won't wear, you know, if my legs are really dry or if my arms are really dry, I won't show that off. But if I have a good day where they're, you know, they're pretty well cleared up, then, you know, I'll wear shorts or I'll wear a tank top or something like that. You know, but on the days that they're not like that, you know, I'll wear, you know, jeans that actually fit me, and, you know, a t-shirt or a shirt that, you know, covers up where I'm dry at. That's my main issue, is I hate looking at my skin and seeing flakes sticking up everywhere, you know, where I can just rub them and they fall off. I hate seeing that. So, I hope you guys like this video. So just if you have any more questions or any more things you would like to know about, maybe something I've experienced through life and things like that. So, thank you.